we're going to talk about Flappy Bird.
Oh, shit.
I always forget Flappy Bird was a thing. And every like 6 months to a year, somebody goes, hey, you guys remember Flappy Bird?
Check it out. It's been 10 years. February of 2013 is when this shit came out originally.
Again, for me, feels way longer than
10? It feels shorter to me than 10 years.
Okay, John, are you somewhere in the middle? Are we gonna see if
I feel like that's about right, honestly.
Perfect. Okay.
So I want to talk about Flappy Bird today because I don't know. Something about it was like I remember like all these crazy ass rumors of like the Vietnamese mob is shutting it down, and I was like,
Whoa.
what the fuck is going on with Flappy Bird? Turns out it was just a bunch of other things, but we're gonna talk about that.
So that was not true, but there was a bunch of other equally crazy shit that happened.
So, you guys obviously are both familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I played it, I think, once.
Bad. I was so
You
fucking
was
bad
really
at it.
bad.
You only played it once? Okay, so Harlan, tell me why you played it once. Did you download it and play it once, or did you play it on someone's phone?
No, I think I downloaded it and played it once, and I was bad, and it was hard, and it wasn't fun. I want games to be enjoyable, and it just felt like a chore to try and do the game.
For sure.
It was also one of those like tedious types of games that like, if you're off by a fucking pixel, that goddamn bird is dead. And I just couldn't handle it. It's too much stress and anxiety for me.
I was frustrated, but I wanted to get better at it, and I never did. I am not good at video games historically, and so I'm here for a good time, not a long time with these things. And so I played it 6 or 7 times and realized this is not for me, and I left.
Boy, I wish I was more like you guys, let me tell you.
Oh no. Oh God. Was it a problem?
I went deep, and then I had a Flappy Bird nemesis. So let's get into this. Dong Nguyen, who was 28 at the time and living with his parents in Hanoi, Vietnam, created the game using leftover assets from another game he had started but never finished. In one weekend, he made the game that would eventually be called Flappy Bird. The goal was he wanted it to be simple but challenging in the spirit of the Nintendo games that he grew up with. The object was to fly a bug-eyed, big-lipped, bloated bird.
Horrible description.
Well, I'm going to send you some photos in a second, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that is pretty good. I don't know if you remember exactly what Flappy Bird looks like.
I didn't until you said that description, and then I said my thing, and then the image sort of materialized, and I was like, wait, no, that is actually exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, so you're trying to fly this bird between inverted like stalactites and stalagmites. What are those?
Stalactites and
Yes,
stalagmites.
Those words, but they're like green pipes instead, like Mario style pipes that you're trying to fly the bird through. So the quicker a player would tap the screen, the higher the bird would flap. He originally called it Flap Flap, but quickly realized there was already another game called that, so renamed it the Flappy Bird, and that was that.
Man, he's just a little meatball, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 60% eyeball.
This is a photo of the creator, Dong Nguyen.
He's just fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, very cool,
strapping
dude.
young lad.
Back in 2013 when it was still cool to smoke.
So yeah, well, he's in Vietnam, so I think it's still just you just smoke in Vietnam.
Right, sure.
So he seems like he was. I mean, he's still alive. He is a fairly talented individual. So by 16, he had coded his own virtual chess game, which I don't know about you guys, but I am 35 and I cannot code anything.
I don't remember all those rules. There's too many rules.
So he ended up studying computer science at a university in Hanoi and ended up landing an internship at Punch Entertainment after placing in the top 20 of a programming competition. Punch Entertainment was like one of the only mobile game developers in Vietnam at the time, so kind of like a lightning strike of like fucking landed this job. Like, they made mobile games, and Nguyen's former boss said that he, quote, stood out for his speed, skills, and fierce independent streak. And apparently the company determined that he did not need a supervisor, so they let him work without having to report to anyone directly.
That's nice.
Can you imagine being like good enough for your job to go, yeah, this guy's got it. But over time, he got over making the signature sports games that Punch Entertainment was focused on making at the time. And once he got his hands on an iPhone, his world was changed, and he became completely fascinated by the possibilities of the touchscreen. So he was a critic of the modern mobile heavy hitters at the time, which were like Clash of Clans, Angry Birds,
Farmville, probably.
No, Farmville, wasn't that like Facebook?
That was Facebook.
Yeah. So it's just like mobile games that look like he basically was like, they're too graphically intense and they make my phone work too hard. They're too cluttered. There's too many pop-ups. There's too many menus.
Yeah, this should be a desktop PC game. Why the fuck am I playing a top-down isometric RPG?
He wanted to create something that was more in the vein of the classic Nintendo game that he grew up on. You know, something that looked classic, simple, still challenging, still had depth. And he wanted to also combine that idea with the way he saw people using their phones. Like, he'd see people on the subway, one person like, you know, holding like the railing and have their phone in their right hand. People outside squatting, having cigarettes with their phone in their other hand. He wanted
that is such a great, like, him noticing that is something that we do as people.
That's an observant designer.
Thank you. Sure. Observant. That was the goddamn word I couldn't think of, John. Again, so efficient with the language.
He was clearly observing people in his day-to-day life and was like, I want to make a game for those people, which he, you know what, he was one of them.
Trying to block out all the psychotic shit that happens on a subway.
He determined the best way to make it would just be to make a game that simply involved tapping and nothing more. So Flappy Bird officially hit the iOS App Store on May 24th, 2013.
6 months later, Skynet came online.
Kind of, though. The game was made available as a free download, and there would be ads inside the game. Nguyen said that he was hoping to make a few $100s a month from in-game ads, so the goal or expectations weren't too high here. Just wanted to make something that was low barrier to entry. If people played it, he would make some extra scratch.
He just whipped it up in a weekend. You know.
Yeah, whatever, fuck it.
Yeah.
Which I have to imagine is how, I mean, you guys are on iOS. I'm on the Android store. Man, there's a shitload of the iOS App Store is so much more curated than the Google Store.
Well, I think their process for getting approved is maybe a little bit more strict.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Less open. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's still dog shit, weird stuff. Like it's all clones, basically, though.
Yeah.
Of other games.
I mean, I got to be honest. I can count on one hand how many times I've been in the App Store in the last 6 months.
Yeah. Same.
Sure, fair enough.
If I'm getting something, I know exactly what I'm getting, and it's for a function.
Yeah.
Like, mobile gaming is an industry that is like growing rapidly to the point where even like Activision Blizzard, in lieu of promoting Diablo 4.
The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. You guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones,
got a phone.
right?
You can play on your tablet too.
This might be obvious to say, but the majority of people playing mobile games are much younger than us as well. And so I am so out of the loop. The only thing I know is the cut that like the Apple App Store takes, which is like 30%.
It's 30%.
It's an insane thing.
Yeah.
Which has been a thing that I've seen a lot. And if you're a mobile game, you can't really get around that. Like, what, are you going to make somebody go to your website and download it from the website? That's the only way you can get around it. But if you're like developing a normal app that has function, John, there's a lot of companies that are like, don't download it from the App Store. Go get it from our website, because they take 30% of our revenue from every sale.
Google matches that. Google's Play Store also takes 30%. So you can't
insane.
win. You're getting gouged for like, do you want to play for exposure, bro? It's like,
I was just, that was exactly what I was thinking about.
It's the same thing. Like, for every $1 you make, you're only making 70 cents, you know? I mean, it's the world archetype we live in. You want to fucking make it in this world, you got to pay the tax man, baby.
Well, and again, that is what ends up generating all of these clones. Yeah. They just reuse assets. They use the same type of gameplay, so they don't have to put any more work into something that they're only getting 70% of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why would you do that?
And so, like everybody else, our boy Dong Nguyen releases Flappy Bird out into the wild. And guess what? Doesn't really go anywhere because it entered a sea of new and unremarkable games. By the way, at that point in time, I don't know what the modern numbers are, but it was 25,000 new games per month were coming out on these stores.
Per month?
Yeah.
Months?
So you go, here, put Flappy Bird into this pool.
Yeah.
Who's going to fucking find that? Like,
Wow, that is shocking.
I am still just blown away by that number.
yeah, 25,000 per month.
Think of the ease that he just whipped this game up in a weekend. Like, can you imagine how many dickheads have an idea
true.
that they just want to put a game out there? Like, it's
Dong himself, though, is quite savvy, and I will talk about that a little more later. As far as
clearly, I saw his photo.
yeah, oh yeah, my man is savvy, but he legitimately does have some chops, and we'll talk about what separates him from other developers later. But point is, he put this game out kind of like whatever. And it got eaten up by the sea of fucking 25,000 other games that month.
Dude, and imagine how many other, what was his first name again?
Dong Nguyen.
Okay, I did hear you correctly. Dong Nguyen. Think of how many other Dong Nguyen's are out there
Yeah.
that are just as talented that get fucking lost among all of those 25,000 other apps.
It's kind of wild too
Yeah.
because during the research of this, there was like a bunch of other apps that came up, and I went to search to see if they were still up. All of them were gone. So they like these things are like meteors that like burn out really fast.
Got it.
You know,
Okay.
they don't have longevity. Stuff like Angry Birds and Clash of Clans, like I've already pre-mentioned, those are here to stay. They've been monetized as movies of fucking
Yeah,
Angry
yeah.
Birds at this point.
Well, I mean, those, I have to imagine, were also like intentionally put out into the marketplace by a larger party. It was like a plan, a release, that sort of thing. Not like some guy throwing it up on the
Living
App Store.
with his parents in Hanoi. The first mention of Flappy Bird didn't appear on Twitter until 5 months later on November 4th, 2013. A user tweeted a hard-hitting 3-word review that read, "Fuck Flappy Bird."
Honestly, from a marketing standpoint, like
Huge.
that is such a good,
I know,
because it immediately creates interest. What is this? Especially when it's called Flappy Bird.
I know,
What the
it's
fuck
like,
is a
like,
Flappy
what do you
Bird?
got against fucking Flappy Bird? I never heard of what
And
that
also,
is, but-
what is
Yeah.
that though?
Yeah, I need to know what that is.
I'm mad even before I know what it is because I'm defensive. How
Like, hold on.
how dare
So
you?
by the end of December of 2013, you couldn't not see folks talking about Flappy Bird, as an estimated 16 million messages containing the words Flappy and Bird it contained within them existed on Twitter by the end of 2013. These messages were of commiseration. They were of frustration.
Building a community over loss.
They were about how they broke their phone playing Flappy Bird, etc. It's a very frustrating fucking
yeah,
game.
I can definitely see people whipping their phone after hitting a wall or something.
I just grabbed these couple quotes here. It's just like, the most annoying game yet I can't stop. Another one just says, slowly consuming my life, which is like, so extreme.
This feels like one of those moments in time and history where like the idea of becoming obsessed with your device in this way, this like was the first or early instance of this happening. Like, I don't even think like Instagram had only been around since what, 2010? And I don't think anybody was like really thinking about the impacts of like constantly scrolling or checking your feed. I know Facebook had been around and maybe that was the only conversation, but like this level of obsession feels novel for the time.
Yeah, do you remember when Instagram instituted that double tap to heart or like something?
Vaguely, yeah.
That was a big change. Instead of having to move your thumb down to like thing
Yeah.
and hit the heart, you could double tap the thing. It was like we were
a
navigating
microsecond,
Yeah,
but
well,
a huge difference.
But it's how many microseconds are saved until you get a full second while fucking scrolling and consuming ads on-
Exactly.
across all of humanity that was utilizing the app at that time. But it's like recognizing this universal move towards how easy it is to make money by having users single tap a screen.
And look where we are now, where it's like a mental health crisis.
Look where it got us. I mean, I had to ditch social media entirely for the most part. So
yeah, efficiency is good to a certain point, and then it becomes you're mentally ill now.
Right.
Sorry.
And,
Oops.
I mean, we talk about all of the time that you save, being able to double tap things. The hours that I've lost in TikTok K-holes is just incalculable. It is gone. I will have entire afternoons wash away watching somebody dissect samples from hip hop.
That's not how I thought that sentence was gonna end. I thought it was gonna be way worse.
That's perfectly obscure, but totally believable.
I watched a guy's videos for a full hour where he took hip hop songs and then broke out and showed you each sample and where they came from and where they are in the song. Fascinating.
Oh, was that the video about Fatboy Slim?
Yeah, he's
because I
done a
saw
ton
that
of
one.
them.
A lot of sampies in here. It's sampled from this Just Brothers record, Sliced Tomatoes. I love it. Lord Finesse introducing the Vinyl Dogs.
Check it out right about now. It's no other than the Funk Soul Brother.
It's an intro for the record. Beat Girl. That's it. I Fought the Law by the Bobby Fuller Four. Is it just the drum roll?
Right about now, the Funk Soul.
This is just a great fucking tune.
Yeah, he's done so many of them. There's another another great channel that does it in just waveforms, and they come up and then make the whole song. It's so cool.
Because I get dissection videos of a guy dissecting cadavers, so that's also.
Whoa. Well, so the
It's
internet's a beautiful, it's a vast place.
Yeah, I always consider it. I'm learning something. I'm not wasting my time. I'm learning something new.
Okay.
So as a contribution to just how this thing caught like wildfire and was like blowing up, there was also a shitload of like YouTube videos coming out of people playing this game or people having extreme meltdowns while they're playing this game that only stoked the fires further and made people want to play more. I actually want to just show you guys a couple clips of some of the more popular videos of people playing Flappy Bird and like losing their fucking mind, which only caused more intrigue. So if you guys could please turn your attention to the stream.
This is a new game that apparently has taken the world by storm, and it's supposed to be super hard and complicated. And my maximum is 3, as you just saw. And it's about. So as long as you can be patient, you can win.
Why is he scared?
There you go.
I think it's just his vibe. I think it's just a little.
Max, you go where we got to.
Okay, that last one, he's playing the camera.
Nope, he's not. He's actually trying, I promise.
It's so frustrating. Like, try to play it. You can get it free. You can get it, I believe, on
That
Android
little-
and iPhone free. Actually, don't get this game because you will get mad and you will wanna kill someone.
So that's a good example of the kind of videos that are going around. And then there's
Oh
this
my
other
gosh.
little quick clip that I got here of a older fella playing the game.
Oh
here.
god, he's gonna have a heart attack, or he's gonna have fucking like World War II flashbacks.
Here we go.
jeez.
I fucking hate this goddamn game! I motherfucking hate it! Man, I hate it more than goddamn Candy Crunch!
Candy Crunch.
Ah!
The
You
captions,
got a goddamn
dude.
bullshit into me!
He's even on the iPad. It's even bigger.
It's even
Yeah.
I love close-up screaming at the screen like that's gonna do it.
The lack of precision control is what is so fucking frustrating about that game.
Yeah.
There's a built-in physic to the game where you tap, the bird will rise and then will
Fall
start
like
to
a fucking
accelerate.
stone.
Go into fucking free fall, reach terminal velocity.
Yeah.
And then just goes, baby, sinks like a stone. But you can keep tapping, so there's a rhythm to it, there's a feeling to it.
Oh god, like I didn't
Flashbacks.
play this very often, but I know this feeling from playing other video games, especially like the really old like Super Nintendo, like Mario stuff. Getting that precision jump. I've thrown controllers, and I don't think that I'm an irrational person, But dude, the amount of times I've taken a controller and physically tried to break it in half.
It's hot in your hands.
That's funny.
Yeah, sweating.
I'm the guy I'm the Souls guy who like, I put the controller down and I go and lay face down on the ground behind me to blow off steam. So I'm not a controller
your better angels take over.
Yeah.
Just lay here, like plank on the ground. Just think about what you did.
Put your face in the carpet.
Like when you're like really hungover and like laying face down on a cold tile floor like is really helpful. It's the same thing for when you're frustrated playing a video game. Just find a cold tile floor.
Flappy Bird hit the iOS top 10 chart in the US in early January of 2014. So it blew up in December, boom, hit top 10 early January. And by January 17th, it had hit number 1. And a week later, it hit the top of the Google Play Store as well. So in January, Flappy Bird is the number 1 app, not game, number 1
that's
app.
amazing.
By February of 2014, the game had been downloaded 50 million times.
Wow. Do you have at least a reference for like what other top downloads were for other game? Like what was?
No, I just have a reference for what 50 fucking million is. No, you're right. I should have had some sort of juxtapose,
what was I'm for sure Facebook was probably like one of the top apps that had been downloaded at the time or something. But like,
yeah, I don't know what those numbers are. Maybe you can superimpose them on the screen. You fucker.
Hey,
do your own research.
The information will be on YouTube. Again, go over there and like and subscribe and share all those YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So it's not without mention that this is some sort of astronomical number for a mobile game. So it is.
Yeah.
It is a big
50
deal.
million ain't nothing, no matter what time it is.
So do you guys want to guess how much money it was making per day?
Well, okay, so it was free to download. It just had pay ads, right?
Yep.
A day?
Per day, how much was it making?
200,000.
No, John, way too high.
I was gonna say 50,000.
Harlan, holy shit, $50,000 per day. Oh,
mother!
I will say this is after the 30% cut.
Wow. Okay, I was thinking gross, not net, but damn.
No, this was Dong's take home, 50K every day. He was making $50,000.
Wow.
Damn.
Can you guys imagine?
No.
I physically can't.
There's no way. I will never imagine.
Do you know how much that is per year? $18 million per year, which means Apple and Google were each making $5 million per year off of just this app being on their store.
One app. That's insane.
Okay, so and this was all from a quiet, no strategy, no backing release. This was just a couple of tweets from Dong's personal Twitter being like, play my game. As word got out about how much money Nguyen was making, his face appeared in Vietnamese news programs and newspapers and shit. This is actually how his parents actually found out he had made this game at all. He was still living with them.
Oh my gosh.
While making $1 million a year?
$18 million.
$18 million a year?
He says he never told them because his parents, quote, don't understand games.
I mean, fair.
Yo, man,
you know,
parents just don't understand.
Lie. Tell them you got a job as a doctor or something. Like,
I know it.
Hey, guys, I didn't go to school, but I'm a doctor now.
yeah, well.
After a short while, paparazzi began waiting outside his house, and he could no longer go out of his house unnoticed or unharassed. At one point, he tweeted, It is something I never want. Please give me peace.
Hey, bud, I'm sorry, but you have $18 million a year. You could take the house you live in with your parents and physically uproot it and move it anywhere, probably.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah, man, I know.
I get that, like, the whole fame comes a lot of problems and your privacy goes out the window. But dude, with enough money, you can disappear.
On that note, and I'm sure we're getting to that, Cliff, because I see the time.
Yeah, I see the horizon.
If memory serves correctly, it was not that long of a lifespan for this particular game. And yes, $18 million a year sounds wonderful. Please, yes, give me that. But you have to make it to a full year of making that kind of money. And I don't remember that happening.
We did not make it a full year at $50,000 a day.
So that was a speculative market you gave us.
In an interview with Rolling Stone, Nguyen highlights that the worst part of all, not the invasion of privacy, the worst part were the messages he was receiving from people chastising him for creating the game and for, quote, distracting the children of the world.
Oh, God, it's all we gotta save the kids.
Think of the children.
He was getting inundated with messages, but like highlights that he decided to tell Rolling Stone were 13 kids at my school broke their phones because of your game and they still play it because it's addicting like crack. He had emails from workers who had lost their jobs over this game. A mother
That's
who
on
had
you, man.
stopped talking
You're
to their
a
kids.
full-grown adult.
Exactly. It's not on Dong to fucking maintain their lives. He made a game for your enjoyment, for the average commuter, for the average person on the go. But he was someone who sympathized with these people because he was someone who had failed tests in high school, because he himself would play too much Counter-Strike and fail math tests, etc. So he like sympathized with these messages and began to view the game as something that was actually harming people. And his guilt started to like kind of
crush
him.
And I definitely understand that sentiment, and I get his perspective as a kid who had problems in school with focus or whatever. I totally get that. But at the same time, taking on the accountability in that way is not healthy or correct because it's a failing of society. If we want to get really big, go out there with this line of thought thinking, right?
It is the prerogative of someone else to blame their shortcomings on other things.
Yeah.
And video games has long been a punching bag.
I mean, music, entertainment of any kind. I mean, fucking when Pulp Fiction came out, Quentin Tarantino was getting chastised about like, well, why do you need to put so much gore? And he was like, because it's fun, it's cool.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
It's not my responsibility to censor the content that you show your kids. You're their parent. You're the one that needs to raise them and tell them why something is good or bad or why you believe they should or shouldn't be consuming this content. And it's a bummer because this guy had it made. And his conscience got in the way. I'll say it.
Well, yeah.
His tweets started getting darker and darker and saying things like, Flappy Bird is a success of mine, but it also ruins my simple life. So now I hate it. And then it finally came down to this. I am sorry, Flappy Bird users. 22 hours from now, I will take Flappy Bird down. I cannot take this anymore. This was February 8th, 2014. Yes. How many? It was probably like only like a month where he was making $50,000 a day before it got too much.
Well, and the sad part about this, which I'm sure you're about to go into, is that people were probably just as mad when he took it down as when he fucking put it up.
Yeah. No, there was.
You can't win. Dong, if I could have been able to tell him, just ignore him. You're not gonna win either way. You made this thing, they love to hate it, and now you're gonna take it away. They're gonna hate you. They're just gonna hate you now.
Yeah.
So in that final 22 hours, the game was downloaded 10 million more times.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And you know what?
Yes.
Whether it's on the App Store or not, if people are playing, the ad revenue will still keep ticking for our boy Dong. So.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
So
Also, again, from a marketing standpoint too.
Huge.
I know. It's
huge. Because now you've created a scarcity of a product.
Yeah.
And when you have less of a product, demand goes up.
Oh man, and I got a great thing. I'm gonna jump sections. I had another section prepared. We're gonna jump sections because that's such a perfect segue. I do love this quote though. Rolling Stone asked him, "Why did you take it down?" And his quote is, "I'm a master of my own fate. I'm an independent thinker." So that was
unbelievable.
That was his mic drop moment. But I have to show you guys this fucking graph. While you cannot download Flappy Bird anymore, you can still buy phones
Yeah.
that have it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
fucking installed on it still. So here's a plot graph of how much you could get for a phone or a tablet that had it installed. How much you could sell it for. So at the low end of the spectrum, you could buy a Samsung Galaxy S3 for just under $200. But at the top end of the spectrum was the what is that?
Is that Samsung Galaxy S4?
Yes, a modern day S4 for just over $1,000. You could pay $1,000.
Wow, man, there must have not been very many iPods that had Flappy Bird on them, because the iPod just sitting out here on his little island.
Kind of crazy.
There must have been like 5 of them.
There's yeah, exactly. You can see there's 4 iPods for sale total. One's at 1,000, one's at 600, one's at 350, one's at 200. Oh, there's a couple more.
I assume the one under 200 had a cracked screen or something.
There's a funny thing about this graph that the words of wisdom of Pawn Stars. There is a difference between what people are selling something for and what people are buying something for.
Something to note, though, is I was watching a video of a kid absolutely destroying his phone with a hammer after losing some some Flappy Bird shit. And his friend's recording's like, dude, that's a $400 phone. So keep in mind, market value for like a new cell phone at this time, 2014, was $400. So to see a phone going for $1,000, which is actually standard nowadays for a new gen phone, is more than twice the value of the fucking phone, just because it has Flappy Bird installed on it. When Flappy Bird disappeared, there was a massive vacuum that was created, and the forces of FOMO and opportunistic people looking to make a quick buck. Shitload of Flappy Bird clones hit the store. By March 5th, there were over 800 Flappy Bird clones available for download.
And this is in 2014?
Yeah. In March 2014, there was 800 Flappy Bird clones. I made a small list. I'm just going to rifle off some of these names to you guys really quick. They're all pretty much on the nail on the head here.
They're going to be the same.
All right, ready? Fly Birdie, Fluffy Birds, Flappy Plane, Iron Pants, Cute Tiny Birds, Annoying Flappy Fly,
Iron Pants,
Flying Pig, Tiny Rush Adventure, Scrappy Bird, Splashy Girl, Ducky the Bird, Eagle Run, The Adventure of Hoppy Cat, Fly Birdie, Saga, My Fat Flying Dragon, Tappy Bieber, Flying Ducky, Flappy Penguin Revenge, Splashy Bird Ghost, Buffalo Wings, Flappy Turd, and my personal favorite, Fallout Bird.
Incredible. Actually, Revenge feels like that person had a vendetta.
That was personal.
That was personal, yeah.
Can we talk about Iron Pants?
My personal favorite is Fly Birdie. That is so very good.
One I actually pulled away from the list to talk about for a second because I think it was that good. It was called Flappy Beard, quote, hipster quest. And
this was during the era of the hipster. Oh my god!
And it's basically like a dude with a flannel and a huge beard, and he flaps his beard to fly between towers of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I've seen this. This looks very familiar to me.
It's because we knew him.
Yeah, we were him.
Yeah. I know him. Sure, I know him. He's me.
He's me.
What's the man in the mirror?
Obi-Wan adage. I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Of course I know him. He's me.
He's me. That's exactly the line.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
So that's pretty much it, except that I do want to bring up one conspiracy theory before we leave.
We gotta.
Dong Nguyen claims...
It was a psyop.
Right. He's backed by an e-girl.
Who's working for the U.S. military.
So he claims that there was no actual marketing done to promote this game and that its growth was completely organic via word of mouth, etc., etc. That's probably true. And you know what? After getting shit wrong in the Price Master episode, I'm not going to claim that this is correct at all. I'm just going to say this is a theory that exists and just...
Allegedly!
There's this graph. that I'm going to show you with you guys right now. It is
God, another graph. So
I
many
know.
infographics
There's actually a
this
lot of
episode.
data on the App Store. You can get a lot of data from App Store involvement. So what's going on? What I've shown you guys is the download rate of the app. You can see that it has these extreme rises and falls. These peaks and mountains do not. Peaks and valleys do not indicate like a natural growth. It shows like bursts of growth over a 24-hour period at a time. What this implies is that Dong or someone else was paying money to have bot farms push this app certain hours of the day every 24 hours until it had a large enough organic user base to sustain it.
Oh, interesting.
Which this is against the Apple Store's, the iOS store at the time, their policy, completely against their policy. So, and also to buy the amount of users he would have been considered to buy through this method would have cost him $100,000. So basically, the theory is that due to the irregular bursts and actually consistent bursts, I'll say, before you see towards the end of the graph, it like levels out, that there were bots involved. And so it was a matter of if Dong wasn't paying for, if he didn't have the capital to front these bots, who wanted Flappy Bird to be the top dog?
The U.S. military.
Going dog. It's a psyop all along. They're like, it was actually the Air Force Academy trying to see who could fly between the fucking pipes.
Yeah, it's how they were finding candidates who had really good hand-eye coordination.
You're being called up to Top Gun.
Highway to the Flappy Bird.
Dong's prowess in his developer skills, his programming skills, the main thing that separates Flappy Bird from the thousands of clones that I'm sure have existed over the last decade is the latency in like the responsiveness of the taps on the screen. The average tap on a screen is 1300 milliseconds for response. He had it down to 130 milliseconds. So Flappy Bird, while Harlan, you were talking about the game felt precise is actually maybe one of the most precise mobile games to ever exist.
Wow, and that's a testament to the fact that how our brains process what we physically are interacting with.
Yeah,
like I'm sure the latency, increasing that latency, there's got to be, what's that range called? It's why on your odometer it says 55 and it's always marked. Like that's the zenith of most efficient.
Yeah.
There's got to be something like that with how your brain.
Because when you exceed that, you're at a delay.
But there's a name for that range, and I'm sure there is a similar thing with how our brains interpret what we physically are touching. I wonder if the latency of 130 milliseconds is too quick for our brains to process. Like I'm sure our brains have latency, and I'm sure that's why it was so hard, because it was so responsive.
Yeah, it was so touch precise that it felt like it was fucking you up.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a weird concept to think about, but
So our boy Dong knocked it out the park. He still makes mobile games. You still to this day cannot download Flappy Bird. It's done. It's gone, people. Although I realized I have
over it.
All of my old cell phones in a box over there.
Oh,
I think I have Flappy Bird installed on one of them still, so I'm gonna
charge it.
Check it out. I'm gonna see if I still have Flappy Bird. I don't know. I might be
we'll
one
brand
of the few.
it. We'll brand it as a 20K Leagues Flappy Bird collaboration phone.
Yep, and then
sell that.
And then I'll sell it for.
We'll do it as a Patreon.
I'll sell it for almost market value of a current day's phone.
Yeah. Hey, here's incentive to go sign up for a Patreon. The first 100 people will be entered to a raffle to win the Kyle's Flappy Bird phone.
I have to get everything else off that phone.
Yeah.
Get all my nudes off of there. No one wants to see my nudes.
All right, everybody. Good luck out there.
John cut you. Did it for you.
And everyone wanted to know which president was the true throat goat. And
okay, I do remember this.
And they are all some sort of eldritch monsters of yore, right? She was also selling videos of her farting in the jar.
I hate this so much. I hate everything about this.
Yeah.